So like I said, I explained blood flow like a cycle, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but really they're going on simultaneously. So when I was saying the atria were contracting, that was happening at the same time. And when I said this ventricle contracts to shoot blood there, this one was doing it at the same time too. So for example, this is going to contract, both chambers from the atria will drop blood into the ventricle, and then your ventricles will contract and they'll both simultaneously shoot up through their semilunar valves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I thought you said nothing goes both ways. Is this something completely different?
No, it's the same thing. I just did it a stepwise function because it's hard to explain.
But you were like, once it goes through there, it's never going to go back up.
That's true. So once the blood is up here, this is going to squeeze and shoot them down through here. At the same time, they're never going to go backflow. Yeah, that's still true, yeah.
But so what did you say shoots right back up?
So then once they're in the ventricle, these valves close and then these valves open.
And they go up this central one.
And then they'll go up your semilunar valves.
Okay.
So a big concept to write down, not much to write, put that AV valves work opposite of semilunar valves. That's the only way your heart will work, yeah. So your atrioventricular valves, what are those? Name me 2 of them. Bicuspid, tricuspid, or mitral.
So what did you say to write down again?
Your AV valves are always opposite of your semilunar valves. So what are your 2 semilunar valves?
Pulmonary.
Very good. So that makes sense when these are open, when your AV valves are open, your semilunars are closed. And when your semilunars are open, your AVs are closed, which is why you don't have backflow in your heart. If you do have backflow, like a heart murmur or something, that's why it's bad, because you'll get leaky things and it's no bueno. Cool. So what's going on?
Oh, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Sorry. So there are 2 different semilunar valves, right? That the ventricles will push blood up into?
Yeah, so from your right ventricle, it's going through your pulmonary semilunar valve.
Okay.
And from your left ventricle, it's going through your aortic semilunar valve.
Okay.
So right ventricle, pulmonary semilunar valve, left ventricle, aortic semilunar valve. Which that's something you could memorize, or once you just understand the flow of blood, it'll just make sense. Like you'll just be able to work it through in your head and answer questions. So how this conduction system works, it's not too crazy. You've got this thing called your sinoatrial node. You can just call it the SA node. That's fine with me. This little guy is known as the pacemaker of your heart. So if I ever asked on a quiz, what's the pacemaker of your heart? It's your sinoatrial node, your SA node. And this little thing is really cool. It sits in your right atrium and just completely on its own fires off on its own. So it's not necessarily stimulated by, I'm not going to say that. Because I'm just going to leave it at that. So what's going on is in your right atrium, you've got this SA node, and just on its own, it's going to fire off a signal. And this signal is going to travel across the atria here. And then from here to here, it's going to make your atria contract. So this is like the neuron that's stimulating the muscle to contract. So when I say the atria are contracting and dropping blood to the ventricles, that's due to your SA node firing off, travels through. And so what it's going to do, it's going to travel from your SA node to your AV node. So while this is traveling here, the atria have already contracted, which means blood is dropping down into your ventricles and pooling. And while that's happening, the signal is going to go from SA to AV, and this AV node is going to travel through the septum of your heart, where it's going to become your AV bundle. And then from your AV bundle, it's going to travel down, down, down into your muscle of the heart, myocardium, right down here, and then that's when it's going to become your Purkinje fibers. And then this will stimulate your ventricles to contract. So, and then that's why blood's going to shoot out its opposite ways and go to where it needs to go.
Okay, so this is all like, this just constantly happens.
Yeah, so this happens 70 to 80 times a minute. So that's why you have your pacemaker in your heart. This is going to go and fire off and make all this happen. And that's why I remember the cardiac muscle tissue is very synchronous. This is how it works. So this is traveling through, and it's making it really synchronous. So when you hear bump, 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 that heartbeat, that's because these are squeezing and dropping, these are squeezing and going. So it's bump, make sure I have that right. So your lub is the longer sound. So your lub is when your AV valves are closed. So when these are closed, semilunar is open. So lub is like the blood going kind of far, and dub is really short. It's just your blood dropping from your atrium to your ventricles. So you know the heartbeat, blub, dub, blub, dub.
Mm-hmm.
Lub is going long. Dub is just dropping from chamber to chamber. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of backwards. So really it would be like dub lub. Do it the way I'm explaining it. What's your question?
You were saying like long is the lub, so LL, and then drop is the dub.
Oh man, I never even noticed that. That's beautiful. Yeah, so dub is shorter. It's when it just drops from here to here. So why I'm bringing it up is because Prabhakaran will ask it kind of tricky because he'll say during the dub sound, like your semilunar valves are closed, true or false? And that's true because during your dub sound, what valves have to be open? Your AV valves. And so if your AV valves are open, that means your semilunar have to be closed because they work opposite from one another. That makes sense? It'll be on there. Money. I bet money.
Say that question again. Say the
So true or false, your dub sound is when your semilunar valves are open.
Lub, dub.
That is false. I said it
Drop.
wrong.
Good job.
Dub sound is when your semilunar valves are closed. So if someone just says, hey, your semilunar valves are closed, what am I also inadvertently saying?
Your AV are open.
Very good. So AV are open, so it's true.
Ha.
Or it is true.
Yeah, so you kind of have
AV
to think.
are the ones that talk the semi-lunar.
So you have AV, and then AV valve is what's in between them.
Mm-hmm.
And then your semilunar are these little guys in between that. your
That blood
ventricles
goes
are
up
going
through.
Correct.
Okay. So
Good stuff. So I'm doing the conduction system because I think it's on the quiz tomorrow, just knowing like what's your SA node, it's the pacemaker, it's what starts this whole process.
where does that get the like? How does it start the signal? Is it?
So I need to freshen up, but it does it completely on its own. Like the way the sodium channels open and close,
Okay.
like the way the ions run through it on its own is different from a normal neuron, and it's like self-stimulating. But then there's a question, it's like, well, sometimes when you are nervous, your heartbeat speeds up, like what controls that?
Right.
So I don't know, like there's hormones that affect your SA node, I'd say,
But not all of the time.
but the SA node works completely on its own.
Okay.
It just like fires off.
And this is part of like